So, change of plans, Kevin. In the last video, we said we were going to do parts 3 and 4.
Yep.
But I've read part 3, and I really want to talk about it. So, going forward, I think we will just do parts. Singular.
Which means we could probably upload more often.
Which I hear the YouTube likes. The algorithms like. So that's what we're going to do. Mistborn, part 3. Hey guys, welcome to our discussion. I'm Sarah, this is Kevin, and together we are SEVIN. Anyways, on this channel, we will be reading books from the fantasy and science fiction genres, and then documenting our thoughts as we go along. And today, we're continuing with Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn. We're doing part 3. And
she took a lot of notes.
I took a lot of notes. I have a notebook here. So, yeah, let's get to it. As usual, since Kevin's read this before, he's going to be the questionnaire. So, your turn, buddy.
So, about these notes, want to just start off on page 1?
Oh my gosh. It's not the whole notebook. It's only like 2.5 pages. It's all scribbly scrabbly. So anyways, well, first, in our last video, we kind of touched on the fact there are different races and there are different classifications of characters.
Yes.
But I didn't quite, I've read it, but sometimes it doesn't comprehend. So I wanted to talk about that.
Okay.
So I would like you to tell me like the different types of folks as far as like ska, misting, like what they can do, what they can't do.
So ska should be able to do nothing.
And what they can do as far as in like their powers.
That's why I said ska should be able to do nothing.
Okay.
Because their bloodline, unless messed with, has no powers within it. Nobles can have powers, but they have to snap to get the elementic powers.
And what is snap?
I don't think it's been described for you yet.
Well, Kelsier indicated that he snapped when he was in the pit.
So, read and find out exactly what it is, but you can kind of guess based off the word, like snap.
Yeah, like you have your moment.
Yeah, so
it's not quite an aha moment. It's more of like a moment.
A stress moment.
Yeah.
That pulls it out. And then if you snap, because even nobles don't all snap, you're either a misting, which can burn one of the metals, or a mistborn, which can burn them all. Okay.
And then what is the ministry?
I would just say the iron hand of the Lord Ruler.
Okay. Steel Inquisitors.
The extreme, like, if they need to get rid of Mistborn or anything, that's what they're going to use.
Okay. So, they're like executioners.
You could say that.
Okay. And then obligators, which an obligator is Ven's father.
They're they handle more of the political stuff with the nobles, but they're still like the law.
Okay.
They handle all that, stuff. So the Lord Ruler basically only shows up occasionally for things. Other than that, he just stays away.
Okay. So he's like an appearances only kind of guy?
Yeah, you'll see.
Okay. And so pretty much it would be like Lord Ruler at the top, Ska on the bottom. Everyone else kind of falls in between.
And then the other one that hasn't been mentioned is a terraceman. But as we'll probably discuss in this, like even Sazed, or however you say his name, doesn't really know their history.
Right.
But they are another race that we found out has their own kind of bloodline power that they can use.
Right. I wrote a note about that. They use the metals to create memories.
So they basically have metal batteries that they wear,
mm-hmm.
and then they can store attributes or memories depending on the type of metal.
Right. And then when we say burning metal, like in the last video, I asked the question as to which metal would you burn. When we say burning, they actually ingest the metals
mm-hmm.
and it burns within their stomach.
Right.
Okay.
Whereas, like, Sazed, if he empties one of his metal mines or whatever, it's still there. He can reload it.
So it's like a bracelet.
Or earring or...
Yeah, jewelry of some sort.
Metal on his body.
Okay. All right. So that was just my quick little... I wanted to make sure I was understanding who all the people were and what they did. So thank you for that. So anyways, so with part 3, we start off with... We were wondering if Vin was going to survive, which obviously she would. Yes, so she survives, but she's pretty much in pain, like for a good portion of the early part of part 3.
Well, if she didn't burn pewter, she would have died, but...
Yeah, so she made it through. Kelsier kind of came out of that conflict. He's changed.
A little bit.
I think he's more reflective and he's more cautious with other people's well-being. He's still chaotic with his own self. Like, he'll put himself into situations.
There's parts where you look at him and it's like, this dude thinks he's immortal.
Yeah. I mean, there's even a part near the end of part 3
where Vin stops him.
Yeah, he's almost suicidal. He's not suicidal, but he's getting ready to march in and take out a whole army on his own.
He was seeing red.
Right. Seeing red. Oh, good song, Chevelle. Anyways, so yeah, I think he came out of it more reflective. He's more, I don't know if he's more of a planner now, or maybe it just seems that way because the rebellion that he is trying to rise up it's further along in the stages of planning, so maybe that's why it seems like he's more of a planner.
Well, he's also still, like he was in the beginning, willing to take ideas from his team. Right. But he's just not quite as reckless as before. Right. Small change, but significant.
Yes. We also learned in part 3, Sazed is still translating the tome that Vin acquired in the, what was it, Creditshaw?
Mm-hmm.
Creditshaw conflict. So, in the last episode, we talked about the blurbies, and I said I thought it was maybe the Lord Ruler. So I was kind of right, but not really, because, as Say said, it is the Lord Ruler, but it was the man before the ascension to status of Lord Ruler. That's what
without the power.
Without the power, yes. When he was a mere mortal. Yes. So, I'm reading this. I'm looking at my notes, sorry. So it's written in an old language.
Right.
A language that has not been spoken in millennium.
Since that time.
So, is the Lord Ruler, is he like a hamster? As in, you know, when the hamster dies, the parents try to replace it before the kid notices? Or...
No, he's actually been alive.
So he's not like a hamster.
I can tell you that. He's actually been alive.
So does that mean when he ascended, he stopped aging?
Read and find out.
Oh, this is not fair.
I can't.
These are my thoughts.
Look, that's beautiful, but I can't spoil that for you. Oh. The only thing I can tell you is he has been alive.
Okay, and then like, is the well of ascension, is it an actual well?
You
and
find
if
out
it is it like the fountain of youth, which would go back to my he doesn't age thing?
Well, book 2 is called The Well of Ascension, so
Oh,
yes.
I really want to hit the table, but I can't for editing purposes.
This is beautiful.
So anyways. Okay. So
I will have a comment at the end of the book review thing.
Oh, okay. So status update. Breeze is back and he has a cup of wine.
That's good reporting.
And Hammond, he's actually been out rallying the troops for the rebellion. He's been training them. He's quite impressed with the way they're progressing. I'm gonna share Breeze's his comment on the progress of the trainees. He says, this is on page 280, Breeze snorted. Be warned, Hammond does tend to be a bit optimistic about these kinds of things. If the army were made up of one-legged mutes, he would praise their balance and their listening skills.
You can feel the brotherly love. You can just feel it.
I really like Breeze. I really like him. So yeah. So things are moving along in that department.
I personally liked when Ham got back and he like ripped the sleeves off the uniform, and then Docs was like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah. Well, he's been wearing this military uniform for who knows how long, and he's just like,
and the man hates sleeves.
Yeah, he does hate sleeves. I imagine they would hinder his pewter burning. Do they get bigger when they burn the pewter? Or is it just an internal strength?
I believe it's just mechanical.
Yeah, like it's not a visible thing.
I don't think so.
Okay. So we forgot to mention in the previous episode that as far as I know, the main goal at this moment in the book is we're building a rebellion of Ska, who are the lower level members of the society, to rise up against the Lord Ruler. And there's a fellow, a Ska by the name of Yedin, who is going to take over. He will man the throne once the Lord Ruler is no longer in power. In previous chapters, he's been kind of like skeptical as to how all this is going to work. And he's like, there's no way we're going to be able to pull it off. I feel like now he's more optimistic. Now that he sees the troops are coming together and they're actually learning things, he's starting to trust the crew's plan a little bit more.
And how about that display that Kelsier put in the caves for him?
Oh, yes. So... that display, which was actually he like pitted two of the soldiers against each other.
Well, one was against the cause, and then one was
very much pro the cause, and so to keep the what's the word I'm looking for, the morality in favor of not the morality. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Basically, the troop morale.
Yes.
But so basically, the guy that was against it was actually the better fighter by far than the guy that was for it. But Kelsier abused his power to switch who would win.
Right. But I think that display led to too much of a confidence in the plan by Yedin and by others. And
a few thousand soldiers.
Yeah, a few thousand soldiers. But also with this display, okay, Kelsier seems to be building up this myth of himself because he is the survivor of Hathsin. I can't say it.
Yeah, that's about right.
Hathsin. Yeah.
He is definitely making himself a legend,
right?
If not like a religious figure.
Yes, and he's like got this mystery medal, the 11th medal. He's like really bolstering its greatness.
Well, have you noticed he still hasn't burned it?
He still hasn't burned it because he still doesn't know what it's going to do, I don't think.
One way to find out.
Yeah, but one way to find out. Exactly. If it doesn't go the direction you're hoping, that's it. But in his building up of this myth, the legend,
The crew.
the crew, I don't know. He says he's not in this whole planning of the rebellion to take control. He just wants to get the Lord Ruler out.
He has a vendetta.
Right. But he doesn't really have any goals to be the new Lord. That's what Yedin's for. But I don't know. He's building up this myth and everything.
Well, you've been in his head, but you haven't been in his head enough or deep enough
Right.
to know what his true plans are. You just see like that surface level of plan.
Yeah. So.
Because like then you get more of a deep dive and you get at more of her personal thoughts when you're
Right.
in her point of view.
Yeah.
Him, you just basically get anger.
Right. Let's go back to the reflective part of what I think he's more reflective. Okay. So him and Vin have a conversation. We learn a little bit more about Mare, which is was his wife.
Yes.
She died in the pit.
Mm-hmm.
She is also said to be the person who betrayed him, which led to him going in the pit, which is where he snapped. So the book says. But he has this flower, and since apparently the final empire is all doom and gloom and darkness, ash falling everywhere.
Well, you'd have to imagine that because it states that there's a red sun,
Right.
ash fall.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really picture like our style of greenery
Right.
with that kind of atmosphere.
But he has this piece of flower from a place that has the greenery or had the greenery.
Mm-hmm.
My question is...
Read and find out.
Oh, you don't even know what I'm going to say. I mean...
Go ahead.
It just seems like... Was the ascension the death of all things beautiful? Because it just seems like as soon as that happened... Oh, you can't tell me, can you?
No, I can't.
No.
Like, it's that literally would get explained not even in this book.
Oh, jeez. We better get on it then, because these questions, I need them answered. Okay.
Mission successful.
Oh, so I'm going to my next page.
Oh,
Okay.
front and back.
Front and back. We don't waste paper in these parts. All right, so we had another ball. Vin attended another ball once she was feeling up to it and not so in pain.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, she went to this ball. She wore a black dress. I know that much.
Okay.
I'm trying to recount my thoughts here. Alind was there.
Okay.
Lord Alind Venture was there. Apparently he's been kind of ignoring her, so she thinks. But I don't think he's been actually at the balls as much lately.
Hard to tell.
Because
He's not really a party goer.
He's not really a party goer. But there has been some trickery happening amongst the houses. They seem to be heading towards a house war. So, even though it is said that the best way to keep an eye on your enemy is to go to their balls, so they should be throwing more balls, they're not.
Free espionage.
Free espionage. So, we're at the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is the ball in which we meet a particular...
Lady.
if you want to call her that. I call her Lady Bitch. But her name's Lady Shan. But I don't know if this is the same one. I may be getting my balls mixed up. It is the same one, now that I think about it, because Alind was there, and he pretty much took up shop at Vin's table, and he's just reading his books as he does.
Mm-hmm.
And in his reading... I still think he's cocky, but I also think he's anti-establishment. Like, he does not want to be the heir to the Venture keep.
Or if he wants to be the heir, he wants to change
He wants to change things. The books that he's reading,
Trouble.
yeah, they're anti-Lord Ruler.
Or
and
at least how he's running things.
Yeah, how he's running things. I mean, and these are like books that if he was caught with, he could be in some serious trouble. I don't know that his nobleman status would get him out of the trouble. But anyways, it also kind of seems like maybe, just maybe, he could be trying to formulate his own rising of the sky. Because he seems to see them as human. Whereas all the other noblemen just see them as property, playthings.
I don't see him going to the extreme that Kelsier does looking at them.
Right.
I think he wants to treat them as more human.
Right.
And give them more rights. But I don't think he's like full on like rebellion, like.
Okay.
But he's still a young man, basically, with very limited worldview.
Right.
So you can't really blame him for that.
Right.
At least he's going in a positive direction with it.
So, could he possibly, because he's very interested in Ven. He's so interested that he extended his handkerchief to her, which according to Sazed, is a sign that the guy wants to court the gal. Which she actually got 2 handkerchiefs. She got one from Elind, and then she got one from Spook, who is... I don't really know what Spook's role is, other than he's like Club's assistant, but...
He is a Tenai.
Okay, Tenai. So that means
he's like a lookout.
Heightened sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So he's not like
He hasn't had a big role yet.
Is he on the team officially?
That's...
No, okay. Gotta read it to find out. Whatever.
Well, they use him for like lookout and stuff, but he's not like out there actively.
Okay. So he gave her a handkerchief. That's when she learned the meaning of the handkerchief. And then she also got one from Elind at the ball. So he's interested in her. It's not just a game like Sazed has said it was in previous episodes. So I could see if he wasn't going to organize his own rebellion, I could maybe see Lord Elind teaming up with the crew in their plan.
So to derail you for a second.
Oh, gosh.
I know we still got to discuss a big event at the end of this part.
Right.
But knowing what we know, where do you foresee the end of this book happening and what's going on?
Okay, well, knowing what we know, I don't think the rebellion, if there's going to be one, is going to happen in this book. Because of the event that we still have yet to talk about. Where do I see it going? Just the end of the book or the whole thing?
This book.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't think the rebellion's gonna happen. I don't know.
Do you think the House War is going to happen?
I don't know. Because it's kind of just like things are just starting to happen to get the houses kind of looking at each other like with side eye, like what, you know what I mean? But it's rigged. It's a rigged house war.
How's it rigged?
Because the one, I can't remember the name. It started with a T, I think.
Tico?
I don't know. There was a body of a member of this one house placed outside of the house of another. And who was it placed by? Who? Kelsier.
The angry one.
The angry one.
The survivor.
But anyway, so that's why I say it's rigged. We did. Ooh, while we're talking about this, Kelsier, in one of his many identities, he encountered Lord Venture.
As a ska informant.
As a ska informant, yes. And all Lord Venture wanted to know about was this survivor of Hathsin and the 11th metal.
Mm-hmm.
So see, that's what I'm saying. He's building this legend up. Even the noble folk are talking about it.
And he's like one of the highest up.
And he's trying, he's talking about it, but then he's like trying to stay under the radar. So I don't, what is his end game? Originally I thought, I just want to get the Lord Ruler out of there. Y'all can do whatever you want with it once that's done. But now I don't know. That's why I say maybe he's trying to build it up to where he sits on the throne.
I'm going to have to disagree.
Okay. You can. I just don't know.
You really think a man like that would sit on a throne?
Well, if it's more of just like an appearance role, why couldn't he? You know what I mean?
I just don't see it.
Well, anyways, let's get back to the ball in which she gets the handkerchief. Elaine's reading the not so good to be caught with books. Then she meets Lady Bitch. Lady Sean, I don't know how you say it. Apparently her and Elend are engaged. He says, I don't know. Nobody's talked about it for like a year now.
And what did we learn about her?
She's a soother. Is that what you were going for?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So she can soothe, which means she can alter the way people feel. Because the way she was talking to Vin, let me tell you what. If she wasn't a soother, she would have been laid out flat. Had it been me and Vin. Because we would have taken her.
I just want to say, Sanderson did the noble trope very well to get her to feel this way.
Yes. I mean, she's like a Cersei.
And then I like the part where she sent her terraceman over to the table to look at the books.
Yes, sent him over there. But first, the terraceman comes over and says, because Vin's alter ego when she's at the ball is Valette. Lady Valette. So the terraceman comes over and is like, Lady Valette, Lady Shane requires your attendance, or something like that. Requires?
You wouldn't have been a good plant.
I would not have been a good plant, because I would have been like, what? Yeah, so, but then she does send him over, her terraceman, to look at the books that Elend was reading, but Lady Valette, aka Vin, manages to somehow get away, and because I don't even know what is her game. Her game is to use Vin to get at Elend, I guess.
You could say that.
I don't know.
I don't think at the end of that part you really know what she wants. Other than she wants dirt on Elend.
Yeah. Also, a note from the ball. Elend was seen leaving with 2 other noblemen.
That are kind of enemy houses.
They're enemy houses. Lords Leckel and Hasting. They're rivals to House Venture. Persazed. So, then, later on, when they take off, Vin follows. She's given permission
to use her powers.
To burn some metal and go have fun, because it's been some time. So she follows them, and she
gets ash on her dress. Can you believe that?
I mean, at least it was a black dress. But she's getting the ash because she's listening in on a conversation, and she's essentially like, spying. I know, but is she like hanging on to the building, or is she on an actual like stoop?
I kind of pictured her hanging.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So she's kind of like hanging on the outside of a window, listening to Lord Lynn, I'm assuming Leckel and Hasting, and then there's a mysterious one, and they're all discussing the ska and a rising.
Mm-hmm.
Well, while she's listening, Kelsier's also listening. I picture him stooped like on top of like it has like a peak or something. And he's like stooped up like a gargoyle. He's just sitting up there listening. Apparently he's been listening to these conversations for a while. So.
And he's not impressed.
He's not impressed. He feels that there's no real movement there going to happen. But yeah, so they pretty much all go back to Club's place. have a drink, be all merry and whatnot. And, yeah, that's like it, man. The merriness doesn't last very long, does it? So the next day is when
Vin wanted to learn more about Pewter from Ham.
Mm-hmm.
So she's going with him to the barracks.
Right. And when they get to the barracks, he was going to play fight because the guys in the barracks are friends with Hammond and they play fight with him.
Spar,
yes. They spar, but today they can't because
there's a Ska rebellion. Oh, Eden.
So remember the confidence building we were talking about earlier? Yeah, Eden was overconfident and
that ego, man.
They decided, let's go test the skills that we've acquired.
I want to say that I admire Ham at this point because he says he's going to go with him and then he tells Kelsier, I'm not going to kill these guys. I told him I'd go with them.
Well, he's going with
the garrison,
which is the Lord Ruler's army. Yes. Yeah. Well, Kelsier thinks it's a good idea, one, because it gets somebody on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, he does say, I'm not going to kill these people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it doesn't matter anyways, because in testing their skills against Holstep garrison and then heading back to their hideout,
Caves,
they were met by another garrison who pretty much decimated them.
Well, destroyed them.
Yeah, destroyed them. So they're pretty much back to the start. They still have some folks left, but
it's not a lot.
It's not like it was. So that's why I say I don't think if there's going to be a rebellion, it's going to happen in this book, because now they essentially have to raise up an army again, and this news is going to travel. So the Ska were already kind of skittish about joining something of this nature. They're going to be even more skittish now because people are dying. But when Kelsier and Vin, they like freaking...
They Pewter run the whole way.
Yes. They run till they can't run no more.
And Vin like almost passes out as soon as she stops running.
Right. And Kelsier sees what has happened, and he's like all ready to just go out there and take this whole army on by himself. That's where I was saying maybe a little suicidal. But Vin manages to talk him off the ledge.
Basically saying you're not immortal.
Yeah, so you can be taken out. So then they go to move on, and that's when they end up going to the caves, and they see that some of the army is left. And so then they're like, well, we got to get out of here. Mm-hmm. So then they start marching back to Luthadel. That's the name.
No,
not Luthadel.
Lord Renault's place. What's that place called?
Oh, I can't remember.
Felice,
yes, Felice. Luthadel is like where the Lord Ruler is.
Mm-hmm. That's the cap.
That's where the balls and stuff happen. Okay, so
now I don't know if you edited this out.
I know where you're going. Probably
about the old Ska from the plantation.
So, we didn't. Okay, so in our last episode, we were supposed to talk about the prologue. I didn't really have much to say, so it didn't really get talked about that much. But in the prologue, we met a gentleman by the name of Menace, and he really should have been the leader of this clan. Menace, he's from the prologue. He comes back. He pretty much essentially advises Kelsier to just chill out on the whole rebellion thing.
He actually said he did a good job, though.
He did say, he did give him kudos, but then he was also like,
because he said that's the best rebellion that there's been in over 100 years, easy.
Right.
So, because they kind of won. At least one of the battles. Which
was gathering folks to do it, right?
No, the initial attack that they did.
Holstep. Yeah, they won that.
Which, for a Ska army with limited training, is pretty impressive.
Right. But now they're back at square one.
Kinda.
So, yeah.
You still have a team of, experts running the show. You
do. This was kind of like it was an action part, but I feel like it was more continuing to build movement part. You know what I'm saying? Because I think the two main events of the part 3 was the ball and then the attack by the rebellion.
As far as actions,
right?
There's character building.
Character building, yes. So, yeah. Let me tell you what, though. Let me tell you what.
You want to punch her, don't you?
I want to punch that lady Shane. She's going to be the one I hate. Now, here's the thing. You proposed something when we were kind of discussing this off camera. What if her and Vin teamed up? Oh, I don't know. I mean, I really hope it doesn't happen.
It was a hypothetical.
I really hope it doesn't happen because then I'm going to have to, like, try and like her.
And don't spoil anything.
But I hope at least if they do team up, they have like a sparring moment beforehand and Vin can knock the crap out of her and then they can move on. Kind of like guys, they can be all pissed off at each other and then they have really good fight and then they're fine. We're good. So hopefully, if they do team up, they just better not team up.
Did you have any thoughts on Marsh? He was kind of...
Marsh, yes. So she spent some time with Marsh. Vin spent some time with Marsh to learn bronze, correct?
Seeker.
He's a seeker. Bronze. So what is that exactly?
Anyone that isn't in a copper cloud, you can sense that they're burning metals.
Right.
And then he was saying you get enough experience, you can tell what they're burning.
Right. Because it's a pulse. It puts off a pulse, right? Right. So, my thoughts on that. So, in the last episode, I said he seemed kind of reluctant to join in and that, like, him and Kelsier were at odds and something went on there. So, then we learn a little bit more about him in part 3. Now, this is just my thinking. I could be completely wrong here, but I think he had a thing for Mare.
I didn't even think about that.
Because he seems very, because he talks about her. Unless.
Well, I mean, he obviously knew her.
Right. But I'm wondering, was it a case of, like, he wanted to be with her, but Kelsier was the chosen one? Or is it, maybe she was just a really great sister-in-law? I don't know.
I didn't read too far into that situation.
But still don't know a lot about him though. I don't feel like I do.
You really don't.
So.
There's tension, but he actually loves Kelsier.
Yeah. Yeah. So, also, when Kelsier was in his ska informant form, I don't know, and he met Lord Venture. Prior to that, he was in a nobleman form, and he met a informant by the name of Hoyd. Hoyd said, this is the night of the ball, by the way. Hoyd said that Lord Renault and Lord Venture were in talks to have Lady Villette and Lord Elind married. Now, do you think Lord Renault is in cahoots with Lord Venture? Because why would he be having that conversation without first running it by?
No, I think that just comes off of what Vin told the one guy about how Elind was kind of walking her through the balls at that one point.
Okay.
It just kind of got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Okay.
And then people kept seeing them together.
So they're thinking. Yeah. And then that was another thing, though. If he's supposed to be engaged to Lady... why would he be going to the balls with these other women?
There's history there, isn't there?
Yeah. Oh, gosh. So we're not done with her.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I will say if you happen to read any more Cosmere books from Sanderson, Hoyd is a recurring character in every world.
Okay.
He's a world hopper.
Okay.
He can have a little bit of influence or a lot of influence.
Okay.
But that's just a heads up if you read more Cosmere.
Which I probably will, so long as I'm with you.
Oh, Lord. The only thing I would add is Sanderson has a way of ending books that happens really fast. And everything just kind of hits you at once.
Okay.
So
by me saying that I don't think the rebellion's going to happen in this book, it actually could happen?
it's a possibility. It's a trilogy. I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, if
it happened, I mean, we wouldn't need 2 more books.
Or would you?
We could need 2 more books if whoever's the new Lord Ruler is causing trouble. Okay, so I also think Vin, she is kind of in this place of she's a ska.
She sees both worlds.
But she's also in the world of the noble folk. She's really liking the world of the noble folk. I think she's getting... So her and this connection she has with Lord Elend, and she's enjoying herself when she goes to these balls. I think she's...
Losing herself? Her original self?
Yeah, she's letting her emotions get involved, and she's losing sight of why she's there in the first place.
I don't think so. I think she's just not the scared little girl that she was, and she's probably more growing into herself.
Right.
That she would have never had the chance to do otherwise.
Right. But wasn't she raised to be anti-noble person?
She was raised to survive.
Okay, so she has no opinion one way or the other.
She was a thief. You take what you need to survive.
Right. Well, anyways, she's definitely in a rock and hard place because she is this ska, which they're trying to rise up, but she's becoming friends and acquaintances with the noble folk.
Now, what would you think would happen if some of the nobles found out she was a ska?
I sometimes wonder if some of them already know. And they just haven't said anything.
Well, they think she's a backwater noble.
Yeah, she's a backwater noble.
That might as well be ska to the high families, but anyway.
Right, exactly. I don't think it would be good. I feel like impersonating a noble would be a great offense.
Possibly.
But I don't know. But yeah, she's definitely... I don't know. I feel like at some point in the future, she could have to choose between Kelsier and Elend.
We'll see.
No.
I cannot.
You cannot comment. You cannot confirm or deny.
So I just say I plead the fifth.
Wow. Boo.
I could say read and find out.
Ugh, you've been saying that. You're going to need a new line.
Raffo?
I like that.
That's what it is.
Anyways, but yeah, so I think that's about it for part 3.
That is it.
It's probably still chaotic. We're still new at this whole thing. We'll get our thoughts organized eventually. Maybe.
Part 4 will be coming.
Yes, part 4 will be coming. Since it is only 1 part, should only be a week before we get that posted up.
And then we'll do 5 in the epilogue together.
5 in epilogue, and then we will have our overall review. Right? Are we doing that? I don't think we've committed to whether we are or not. But anyways, the focus right now will be part 4 in about a week. And so I think that's it. I think we're done. We need to hurry this up so I can start reading part 4. You good?
I'm good.
All right. We'll see you next time.
See ya.